My name's Alan Couture, Mayor District of Chetwynd. At this moment, we are going to swear in our new councillor. So we will be doing that, and then she will take a seat. As for now, Bonnie, you will be beside our CAO to get familiar with what we're doing, because we don't have the hard copy or a computer yet, and then we'll have a seat for you over here in our next council meeting. So if you don't mind, we will come up to the podium there, and or to Steve. Podium's fine, yeah. Okay.
Hi. Yes. I, Bonnie Hunt, I do solemnly affirm that I am qualified to hold the office of councillor for the District of Chetwynd, to which I've been elected. I have complied with the provisions of the Local Government Act in relation to my election to this office. I will abide by all rules related to conflicts of interest under the community charter. I will carry out my duties with integrity. I will be accountable for the decisions that I make and the actions that I take in the course of my duties. I will be respectful for others. I will demonstrate leadership and collaboration, and I will perform the duties of my office in accordance with me.
Thank you, Ron. Thanks. Welcome to the council. Oh, great.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone. We'll get to that. Yes. Thank you, Bonnie. Okay. Our new councillor, Chetwynd. We'll just give her a few seconds here, and we'll continue with our meeting. Okay. Can we have the opening statement read? Call the meeting to order, and then the opening statement read.
As we gather today on the traditional territory of the Treaty 8 Nations to conduct the business of the District of Chetwynd, we do so knowing that we are privileged to serve the citizens of this community, and we shall endeavor to conduct our business in their best interests. Thank you.
Thank you. Prior to adoption of the agenda, is there any new business from councillor? Not seeing any. Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Approved. We've gone over the councillor's declaration of oath and office. Welcome, Bonnie, to the official meeting. Hope we all have a great year. I know you will do well. Thank you very much for helping out Chetwynd and this council and the community. Thank you very much for stepping forward. Minutes of the regular council meeting held on February 20th, 2024.
Motion to receive.
Second.
Any errors or omissions? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Carried. Delegation. Danielle Deserly. Hey, Dan. How's it going?
Hello.
That's it.
You might remember me from
Yeah, button down. Thank you.
You might remember me from a couple of years ago for Sagami Music Festival. I did a presentation for the city council. Um, I am still doing the music festival, however, I had to postpone it this year because we lost our venue. So I have to find a new venue. However, with that in mind, I did get some funding from grants and stuff that I'm needing to put into an event. So one of the an event that I'm proposing, is called the Chetwynd Folk Festival, or Chetwynd World Music and Folk Festival. I want to call it this, because it's going to be held in Chetwynd. I think it would be a really good, community event that would help, a lot of different ways. I'm proposing for the same weekend as the the Chetwynd Chainsaw Carving Competition. I have met with their board and they were all for it. They really liked the idea. This is also a partnership between my company, Sagami Music Festival Inc., the Tansy Friendship Center, and the Royal Canadian Legion. I've gotten agreements with both of them, with them helping out and doing it, so their boards have approved it and everything, so they will be involved in this. So I just kind of wanted to let you guys know about it and everything, because it is going to be in the city, in city limits and everything, as opposed to my music festival, which is on private property and on the city limits. I'm asking to see if we can go till 2 o'clock at night or 2 a.m. If we can only go to 12, I've got things in place for that too, which is fine. It's just but yeah, so like if everything goes to plan with this, it'll be for June 7th and 8th. And it's with that date, there will be the chainsaw carvings, which will be going from the 6th to the 9th. And then we'll have a soccer tournament going on in town from the 7th to the 9th. And then there will also be a boxing tournament in town from the same weekend. And then if we add the music festival to it, I think we could create a really great weekend for Chetwynd and tourism and bringing in a lot more people. Because the chainsaw carving itself already brings in a bunch of people. But one of the things that you do see on Facebook all the time is, oh, I just been watching chainsaw carvings for 4 hours. What else is there to do in Chetwynd, right? And I think this will provide something else to do for that weekend, getting more people to stay for the whole weekend and doing camping and all that kind of stuff. So with this, we will have a beer gardens that will be getting run by the Legion. And then we'll have a kids zone that's going to be getting run by the Tansy Friendship Center. And then everything else I'll be doing, or my company will be doing. Which would be like the music, the fencing, all the porta potties, garbages, and everything else that's involved in events. I will probably ask you guys for funding and support in whichever way that it can be provided. And anything you can provide is amazing and awesome and very much appreciated. But yeah, so it is still kind of in the early stages because it all kind of just came into existence about a month ago. But I can 100% get all of this going and ready and get it done for this year. And if I can't, then it'll be definitely in place and everything will be done for next year so that we can get everything going for that. But I think it would be a really cool annual event. And then I'm proposing that we do a folk festival because it's a lot more community friendly. And one of the things that came up with my festival outside of Chetwynd, because it was an electronic music festival, even though it was a family event, we did run into a lot of people saying, oh, the stigma around those is drugs and alcohol and everyone partying and stuff. And it's like, well, that's not what it was about, but okay. Where folk festivals and country festivals have a lot better stigma around them, right? And so that would be a better city project, I think, or in the city, I guess, not technically a city project, but yeah. I just kind of wanted to let you guys know about it. I know that you don't vote for anything here.
So are you open to questions?
Yes, of course.
Dan, okay. Uh, any questions? Okay, go ahead, Mel, Councillor Dick.
How are you making out with the Chetwynd Secondary School with their reception to having a festival there?
I actually proposed a couple different spots. The first one was the secondary school field. All they did so far was give me a form that I have to fill out and then go and meet with their board for. As soon as I do that, I'll know more. But I just need to fill it out and then bring it in and then get the board meeting or the meeting with their board set and everything. But if that's not the case, and we can't end up doing it there, I know that they did say that they're 100% we're not allowed to have a beer gardens on there. But we can kind of figure out a way to make it work by not having it on the actual school district property, just outside of the school, right? But so yeah, I have 3 different spots kind of picked out right now, which is that school district field that's right beside where the chainsaw carving goes on every year. And then the other spot that I was thinking was the parking lots up by the car wash, which I think is Canfor or Solaris parking, or is that city? Is that owned by the city?
Kevin?
Patty Gaze's property.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not in the district. No, it's PRRD. It's owned by Gaze. Yeah.
And then the third spot I was proposing was actually the Camp 4 mill sites or the old log yard. I don't know if it's even a possibility because it's technically still an industry lot, and I assume I would have to talk to Camp 4 about that. But yeah, those are the 3 spots that I'm proposing. And I think like the big issue with being at the school is going to be the sound, obviously, because I'm not going to be bringing out nearly as big of a stage as I had for my music festival because that thing was insane and massive and doesn't need to be that big. But yeah, like the sound is still going to be an issue. Where if we manage to get it into the parking lots by the car wash or the lumber yard, we can have the stage faced and direct in a way where it's not hitting residential area, right?
Yep. Good, Councillor.
Thank you, Daniel. May I make a suggestion? Have you considered Spirit Park?
I did, but I think it's going to be too small
Okay.
because like I got a lot in mind.
As you would, I would just like to say that your vision is tremendous. I watched you from the infancy of your original music festival, and when community members come up with a dream and kind of make it come to fruition, I know your numbers weren't where they were, but I have no doubt that you will be able to make that happen in the future. In terms of live music, I think it's going to be a really good pairing for the carving weekend because so many of those evening events are really geared towards carver specific people and the organization, and all the rest of us community members and tourists are looking around going exactly like you said, what are we going to do? So if you make something accessible with live music and you're adhering to all permitting, I think it's going to be completely brilliant. So thank you.
Awesome. And with that in mind, actually, with the schedule I have proposed as well, it will be partially free and partially ticketed. So during the time when there is the chainsaw carving going on in town, it's going to be free music. It's going to be a free event that anyone can go into. And then we're talking about talking with the bus people to see if we can get a shuttle bus around town that'll just kind of pick up people and drop them off at the different things going around town. But then in the evening, after the chainsaw carvings have shut down, that's when we're gonna go into the ticketed event, and it'll be a bit higher quality performers. Yeah, and that's when you get like your headliners and stuff.
One of the things we deal with right off the hop is that when you're telling us all these logistics, they go through our CAO, and then he filters it down to the parts and wherever it lands. So once you get all those done, then you just filter everything through our CAO, and he'll get a hold of appropriate people. And one item right off the start, the venue is for the chainsaw carvings. That area there is made for chainsaw carvings, not made for anything else. And we designate that for the chainsaw carvings because that hits all kinds of steps on tourism, on bringing people here. So anyway, that part you'd probably, I'm telling you, go look somewhere else for that venue anyway. But
That saves me trouble with the school district, so.
yeah, that's right. And as for the hotel rooms, and you talked about people coming to camp, right? That's another great thing is camping, because we do have some sites just outside of town, and I'm certain that there should be a few around town. But as for anything outside our boundaries, you'd probably have to. We'll let you know what the boundaries are, where our boundaries are, and if you're not familiar, just get a hold of Steve, and he'll give you the map and where we all the boundaries and start. So he'll help you out and give you all the pertinent information. And as for the kids, anything to do with kids is beneficial to anybody. You know, it doesn't matter if you have kids or don't have kids. Kids are great once they have their own entertainment, their own place, their own space. It's totally awesome. So anyway, that's a great idea for working with groups in town. And if we could do any of these, help in any of these ways, again, it'll go through our CAO. And then we do make decisions here. That's another thing. We do make decisions here. But we just don't make them in front of you. You could sit there and you could sit there and then you could hear us debate, because that's the open stuff about council. So anyway, but it's great stuff that you've proposed. And if it doesn't happen this year, then we expect it to be happening next year. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. Thanks, Dan.
I'll just
Go ahead. Yeah.
Just one more thing, Daniel, please submit a formal funding request if that's what you are asking for. Because if you just openly ask us for something, the decision probably won't be made. Thank you.
I gone through the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it have to be within the district, or can you do it just outside of?
No, it could be just outside the district. I just,
Was hoping-
because it's kind of more of city, like community focused event. And like we want to kind of set up a shuttle bus, and it's a lot easier if it's just within town. Theoretically, we could do it outside of Chetwynd as well. It's just going to be more driving and traveling and stuff, right? And then there's the complications of medical stuff too, which is a big thing, especially if you're like, because even just being like 15 minutes out of Chetwynd where I was, I had to get my own doctor and RN in order to even have my festival, right? Which is quite a big cost, which I'm hoping I'm not really having to put nearly as much in this year, but for this anyways, because we'll actually be a lot more in the city. But if I have to, I'll figure it out.
I was just thinking it might be easier to get that 2 a.m. closing time if it was more outside rather than.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely would be. But it was like, I was kind of prepared to have to go to 12 if I need to, but I am prepared to go to 2 a.m. at the same time. Like I'm preparing for both of them, but just depending on where I get put or where it ends up happening. But there was like a lot of people were saying like if it isn't the city limits, you always got the residential people, and like that was something that always came up at the board meetings that I had with the other boards. Was that like mainly the chainsaw carving. They're like, I don't want to have to work all day and then listen to music till 2 a.m. and then finally go to sleep and then wake up again at 6 a.m. the next day and go back to work, right? And it's like, well, I understand that, but it's also for the community, not you. But
Have you asked Tansy or the Legion if they have connections where you could host it? It feels sound like good partnerships.
I haven't asked them about where, if they have spots in mind to host it. Cause my first spot I was gonna propose was the soccer field, but there's a soccer tournament happening that weekend. So I was like, no way. Cause that would have been the perfect spot. But and then just like the other option was to do it a different weekend than the chainsaw carving, but I don't, like, I figured it would be way better just to share the same weekend because it's going to bring a lot more people in for that weekend.
I agree.
Yeah. Good. Perfect. Everyone rocking. Thank you.
So you got contacts, Dan? Excellent. Yep. And did you want to hit that button there, Dan? And yep. Thank you very much. No bylaws to deal with. We've got committee reports and liaison reports. Any reports, liaison? Do you have a quick one? Councillor Deck? Councillor Deck has one?
Just a quick report from the Chetwynd Senior Citizens Housing Society. They're currently looking for a new manager for the Little Prairie Haven and Swears Place sites. And they're also looking for a multi-purpose worker. And also there's several vacancies in each of the buildings.
Report, Councillor? Good. Okay, from the mayor's side of it, one of the things that's been happening for the last 4 months is in the medical department is the primary care network. They've been happening throughout BC, but the first one one of the first ones that in 10 years is being, we were applying for it in this area, Dawson Creek, Tumbler Ridge, and Chetwynd. So that's primary care. And they've been accepted. We were just proposing to the provincial government. So once that comes forward and it's approved, and we will be asking them to come as a delegate, and we'll get all the information about the primary care network. So that's one of the big things happening here in Chetwynd. So Chetwynd, Tumbler Ridge, and Dawson Creek. So that's all the doctors and nurses, pharmacists, and all that getting together to give us primary care. And it's networking. So hopefully we will get that approved by the government. We're going through the process of now of getting our proposal in and accepted. Once that's done, we will ask them to come to Chetwynd to give us a delegation to give us all the information. So that'll be in the near future. Hopefully that'll be, I'd say end of April or beginning of May, and they'll be prepared to give us an update or the information that they have. And that would be it for my report. Any others? We're good? Staff?
Yes, there's actually an administrator's report today. So I had the pleasure last week of attending the CAO forum in Vancouver with 94 or 5 of other CAOs from all over the province. It was very worthwhile. One of the really interesting takeaways from it is that we're all facing almost exactly the same problems. We have aging infrastructure, we have addictions and homelessness issues, we have healthcare crisis, we have the new legislation involving housing, and it's kind of heartening to know that it's not just Chetwynd, but at the same time, it's really sad that it's not just Chetwynd. If it was just us, we'd have more of a chance of solving some of these problems, I think. So one thing that I also really picked up on was we're really fortunate with our mayor and council. We have a mayor and council that can talk professionally, disagree rationally, and not fall into, poor behavior, for one of a better term. There's lawsuits between councilors and mayors. There's lawsuits between staff and council. There's all kinds of just real strong conflict throughout the province because of these issues that we all face. I think more than anything, people are frustrated. People are tired. We just saw, a really good turnout for a budget consultation meeting, the biggest one I've seen in 30 years. Way more than we'd ever seen in Fort St. John, which is 10 times our population. I think people are really getting frustrated, but on the plus side, they're starting to engage more. So I got some really good contacts. I won't read the report word for word because it'll bore everybody to tears, but it's just good to know that we're all facing a lot of the same challenges. Wildfire, drought. I was talking to the CEO of Oak Bay today, and they anticipate running completely out of water in June because of the snowpack and lack of it. And they have all these huge issues. So in some ways we're luckier than others, and in some ways we're not. But we're all in the same boat. We had a Tara Faganella from the deputy minister from the Ministry of Municipalities was there, and she assured us all that the province is aware of the issues and they're working on helping us access funding and strategies to solve some of these issues. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to get in depth on any of the topics listed in the report, but that's pretty much it.
CAO, just one question on the topic of fires, right? And we were all pretty aware, well, we are aware that sometimes it's going to happen, and thankfully it hasn't happened here in Chetwynd. And we've had a couple happen in the last couple of years with our neighboring community, Tumbler Ridge, and they had to be evacuated, and we hosted some of their community members here and in Dawson Creek and in Fort St. John, and some just took out their campers and went camping, right? And that was some of the stuff. But it's very important that we continue to fight for what we realize is a very important year with the drought. And thankfully we got a little bit of snow. We're probably down 2/3 of the snowpack that we need in our community right now, and it all depends on the weather, and the weather meaning that if it starts to melt quickly, we lose the snow to the big rivers. If it does casually melt away, then we might be okay, but still we're losing water, or we haven't had any water in forms of snow in the higher elevations. So that's what feeds us here in Chetwynd, and we get our water from the Pine River. And we do have a supporting well that is not potable water, but we do have some water. So it's not all that we don't have water. And just like Oak Bay will run out, we will not run out. So that's one thing this year, but if it continues year after year, there are communities that might be in the same position as Oak Bay. But as for Chetwynd, no. So, you have to look at all the factors. And by getting some of the snow in the last week and a half, I'm just glad our CAO went to the meeting to find out that we are not the only ones in these predicaments of fire, drugs, housing, and all this. So we need to hear that as a community, as councillors, as the staff. So it's very important that you go to that. Thank you very much for all that. And with the fire, I know everybody in BC and in Canada are really struggling with that. So thanks for the report.
Very well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, any more questions for Steve or? Okay, motion to accept the reports.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All those in favor? Carried. No discussion items, correspondence. correspondence, email from North Central Local Government Association, NCLGA, dated February 23rd, 2024.
Motion to receive.
Second.
Any discussion on it?
Sure.
Go ahead, Councillor Nelson.
I just would like to be involved in any resolution conversations that may occur with staff over the next month or so. Oh,
Nope.
next week.
Next week, yeah.
Next week, if we do plan to get together and discuss resolutions that would positively affect our community, I'd like to have that conversation.
I believe we might be sending one in for fire, right, with the initial attack team.
Yes, we're working on one for the NIPAC crew removal, yeah. Other than that, basically, if you have topics that you'd like to see, then let us know and what we do is research to see if somebody else has already put in the same one, which is what happened basically last year. We had a few ideas, but there were already resolutions. So if you think of any that you'd like to see, let us know. We'll research them. If there's something that isn't there yet, then we'll get something out.
Thanks, I'll send an email.
Okay.
Okay, any more discussion on this? Okay. All those in favor? Accepting? Carried. Maybe I got a question because we have people in here before moving on. You give us an acronym and I said the initial attack team. So what the acronym you had, there's...
My apologies. Yeah, the NIFAC is the Northern Incident Fast Attack Crew.
Okay.
Something like that. That's pretty close.
Thank you, Steve. We've been working on that because one of the proposals was to possibly move that an initial attack team. So we've been diligent on that, doing our due diligence and trying to make sure we have all the information in front of us to make sure that the government understands, the province understand that we are in a situation here over the lack of water and being near the forest that does burn. So they're trying to move it to the other community and it's not sitting well with us. So we are working on that right now. We have some information and I believe we sent a letter. Steve, yes, we have to the province.
We sent out to mayor and council prior to sending it.
Thank you. Did we get any response yet or is it too soon?
We haven't received any responses from the government, from the province, but we have received very favorable responses from Tumbler Ridge and Hudson Soap, who wrote their own letters and sent them down. And as well, it was picked up by Energetic City and was a news article.
And I believe we responded to Mackenzie. Mackenzie wrote a similar letter to that.
Yes.
So we're on that. Go ahead, Councillor Deck.
Did we send them pictures
I'm sorry, pictures of which?
of the forest around Dawson and the forest around here?
No, we didn't, but that might be something for further down the road. Yeah, the initial one's just a letter, but we can do that in the future.
So now that he's mentioned the neighboring community, it is Dawson Creek. They're trying to move the initial attack team. So, and it was the base is further away from the airport. It's in the middle of town in Dawson. So it's going to take a little bit to get to the airport if they need to get into a chopper to send them this way, and then from here to wherever the fire is. So that's our dilemma right now, is trying to make it clear to them that the initial attack is the initial attack. It's not, we'll delay the initial attack while they get ready so that they could get to Chetwynd, to get out to Soto, West Moberly, get out to Jackfish, to get out to East Pine, to get out to Lone Prairie, all these places, right? So they were situated right on the airport there in Chetwynd. So they were right there if they needed to get into the chopper and get to the position that they needed to. So anyway, that's some of the stuff that council and staff have been working on. Okay, what do we need to accept the,
I think we did it all.
okay, perfect, thank you. Information items.
Motion to receive information items I1 through I8.
Second.
Any discussion on those items, or we don't need to pull any? We're good? Okay, all those in favor? Carry. Reports for action. RA1, permit for a special occasion license over 250 attendees.
I'd like to make the motion that council approve the permit for the CDHF Gatsby Gala to be held on April 27th, 2024 at the Chetwynd and District Rec Center.
Second.
Any discussion on it?
Sure, I have something.
Go ahead, Councillor Nelson.
I did not attend last year, but I heard that it was really well attended and quite the spectacular event run by volunteers of our community, and they raised over 6 figures for hospital equipment. I would just say congratulations to the Chetwynd District Hospital Foundation for what they're doing, and it looks to me like this Gatsby Gala is going to be a great deal of fun and going to be sold out. So I wish them well.
I believe it was the ultrasound machine, right? So yeah, that saves people from traveling here to Dawson Creek to get this ultrasounds done. So great, good stuff. Any more discussion on it? All those in favor? Carried. RA2, Rodeo Walkway Lighting and Carvers Row Lighting Project. Councillors?
I'll make the recommendation that council will award the rodeo walkway lighting and Carver's Row lighting to DNS Electric for $146,029.81.
Second.
Discussion? I see we got some items here on the breakdown.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councillor Deck.
Well, initially we were gonna go back to the go to a Cobra lighting up there. And I'd like a real breakdown on that because there's been some issues with those lights. And then the other ones, I think would look better at the whole town with the same lights.
Staff?
We definitely could go back to that. It was just that the hardware in the end with BC Hydro, their specialty team came in and as well as the contractor who originally put the lights in. Because of the new system, there's a 3-bolt tag and the other ones that are in there currently for the bollards are a set bolt. And so basically the new ones are much more sturdier and they won't be able to just push them over. What's happening is if they're kicked or whatever, then that was a consideration. The Cobra lighting, we would have to pull, we couldn't leave the existing electrical in the ground. We would have to pull it, replace it. And so we reviewed what that cost would be, because originally I thought we'd be able to use the existing electrical hardware that's in the ground, and it couldn't for the Cobra change. That's why we said, okay, well, is there any options for the new bollards? So then they came up with a pricing of the new bollard type with the 3 bolt additions so that they're more sturdier. And it did completely change.
Well, what was the difference in cost?
So originally we used existing for budgeting, and it was gonna be over $100,000 for that site. In the end, it was reduced to 40 some to replace the new bollards and leave the electricity in the ground. Then because we already have an issue with the current type of bollards, and because they're quite damaged, and we knew now we couldn't really reuse those existing because we couldn't pull the wire. So BC Hydro and the team, and we also reviewed, that's why the Cobra now is being suggested at Carver's Row rather than the bollards. Because if we reuse even just the ignition hardware, there's a chance it could possibly be vandalized. So we just move towards the Cobra, so it's consistent throughout the rest of town.
Is that it? Follow-up question? Follow-up question? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Dick. You don't need a, okay, Councillor Nelson? Yeah.
Just wanted to confirm, because I don't have the capital budget right in front of me, these numbers are in line with what we approved and balanced for budget, correct?
The overall project's flipped. Originally, we budgeted 45,000 for Carver's Road, and we budgeted $100,000 for the rodeo. But in the middle of the deadline, we also applied to NDIT, which is going to be an additional $30,000 to also add that. I didn't include that in capital planning, but that's an additional change. So we will, in the end, come under budget with the projected capital 2 projects combined. Is that fair, Kevin? Summer?
Yeah.
Let's make it clear. Let's not go, yeah, maybe. Is it going to be under, if it's $1 under budget, I like that stuff, right? Every time we go under budget, and we want to be able to make sure that our budget is clear, because that's a very important part of what we do.
The proposal that Ellen has submitted here will fall in line with the budget that council has seen before, but I will make changes to it before you formally adopt it so that it reflects this path as opposed to the other one, but it won't require any additional money being added to the mix. That's fair.
Yes, that's very fair. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Deck.
One more question. How much more robust are the new bollards going?
I have went even one step further. I've asked to see a sample before we move forward, because NDIT, we're going to be contingent on the grant as well. So I've asked for them to show it, bring it, so we can understand. From what I basically understand from the specialty crew, the existing hardware that's in the ground will be added. They will replace the plate, lengthen it, and add it, and then it's a 3-bolt system into the change. That's included in that price.
Can we take a kick at it and see how good it is?
I'm being honest with you, that's exactly what we want to make sure, because it wasn't being kicked, it was being kicked over and over and over. And every time that it exposed the electrical, like we talked about, and the liability component. So we darn well want to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
Thank you.
Just a question about, do you have an idea or a roundabout figure on what it costs us to come out there and making sure that everything was safe, and to what the damage when somebody went and kicked one or two of these over the year?
I would be able to pull that. We tracked every vandalism by area. So we did cost this out because it was starting to get to be where we were working with the RCMP and others to be able to try and find out who was actually vandalizing them. So I can pull that, and we could share that back to council following.
Yeah, it's very pertinent to what we do, is making sure that the cost of damages versus the cost of making sure that they're not being kicked over again, right? So,
the times it was a call out because we were not, it's at night or early in the morning before we're at work. So I can bring that back.
okay, thank you. Any more discussion on it? All those in favor? Carried. RA3 consultant recommendations, greenhouse gas reduction pathway feasibility study.
I'll make the motion that council approve the selection of Sustainable Projects Group to aid in the submission of the final application for the FCM Community Buildings Retrofit Grant funding stream, and that council award the project to Sustainable Projects Group in the amount of $109,442 plus GST if such grant funding is received.
Second.
Discussion? Councillor Nelson?
I just think it's important to point out that this motion is subject to the FCM funding availability, which is 80% of the project, and the 20% has been contingently budgeted for out of the district spending, just so the public understands that despite this is a fairly expensive project, the majority of it is being funded.
Yep, for the acronym again, I know it does take a little bit of time, but we shorten stuff out in every place. So it's the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. That's what we're asking the funds for. So if you want to look up that's what you look up, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on it? All those in favor? Carried. Right. Reports for information, on no new business. At this time, we have, if there's any public questions on what went on today, this is your time to ask a question. Step to the mic and state your name.
My name is Lacey Archer. I'm just curious about the primary care network that you had mentioned and what that exactly entails and what that.
What it entails is that we get doctors and all the primary care together in each community, and we meet. And now we're forming what would it be? All the information that we need to get primary care working in a better form. And that's what this group is going to do. And once they have it all figured out, they will come to us and they will give you more information. And I could give you more information through their website. Well, not their website, but through the contact that's Fanny and she has more information than I sit on the board, and they ask me to sit there, and then I voice my opinion and give some information, but I don't write all the legalities of what they're doing. But it is to do with primary care in our community.
Is there any public engagement with that?
There will come with our presentation. They will roll that out.
And sorry, what was the website? So there was a website.
They don't have a website because they're not formally what would it be, an entity or I'm struggling here to tell you that they haven't formed like a society yet, so they don't have that website. But I do have some information that I could get to you. If you leave your information here, I will get you the information, and she's more than willing to give you what the primary care is all about. For me, myself, I just sit there as a representative from Chetwynd, and they give me this information. So I don't have that in my computer now, but they give me all the information from our meetings. So they will get back to you if you want to leave your information with Steve. And she's more than willing. She says, if anybody has any questions, and when they do come present, I suggest that you send people to come and listen and what they're presenting to all three communities. I believe end of April or March, once they become a society, for lack of a better term, that once they become legal, then they'll present to us. They want to right now, but they're just not in that position yet. But as for myself, I believe that it's going to help between the doctors and their patients, and with the pharmacists being in there, all them communicating together. So the primary care, that's what it's about. So that's the basic thing about the PCN. So networking is the big thing between the communities. So we'll get you the information, and and if Fanny needs to come, she'll probably say, I'll come to Chetwynd and present. Even if we don't, then she's probably willing to do that. So look for it in our website here on the agenda when she approaches or is willing to come to Chetwynd, and Steve will let the public know.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions? Okay,
I have something.
go ahead, Councillor.
I'd like to thank all the public in the gallery for showing up today. I was told when I said that along the lines of, I really wish our gallery was full with the public, I was told that's not what I want. But I assure you it is what I want, because I feel like an engaged community is a caring community. And thank you for coming out and voicing your opinions at the earlier meeting and just listening today. And I'd also further like to say, I don't know how easy it is for our public to find all the agenda, past minutes, and information online. But I, for one, would be happy to help. I know our staff would be happy to help any of the community figure out what we're going to be talking about, what the agenda items look like, if you did have any public feedback. So thank you, community members.
With that, adjournment.
So move.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Remember me, when the sun comes up in the morning sky. There I will be, soaring with the eagle so high, feeling free. Remember me, down the road, hand in hand, you and me. Hey-oh, hey-oh, hey-oh. Hello, hey, 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 hey.
Oh, what is gonna happen? A gold armor skeleton.
She almost lost her only friend. No.
Hey, Kat. I have a bone to pick with you.
Welcome to Chat TV Gaming.
July 16th was a day filled with smiles, free food, and public arrests. All for a good cause, of course. The annual Cost for Cancer Jail and Bail was in full swing. Constable Lennon Cruz, the organizer of the event, gave us a little history.
So this event got started by Leo Sobolski, and it's been running in Chetwynd for a number of years. I can't tell you how far back, and it was something that he loved, and he just loved providing, being a sponsor for Cops for Cancer and cancer research for children.
This year hit a little closer to home since the original event organizer, Leo Sobolski, tragically passed away from the disease earlier this month. We spoke to Constable Cruz and Peace FM's very own Peyton McCulloch about Leo and his immense impact on the community.
Yeah, so Leo is a great person. I know this community loves him, and I think he's going to be missed. And he's